Hi everyone, my name is Kausalya Bora. Today I am discussing about my project on directory assistance for student courses. Let me share my screen. So, uh, the purpose of my project is to allow the students to guide them about the languages and the courses which they are choosing based on their areas of interest. Here, the main purpose of this application to recommend the students about the detailed information, whether the direct assistance, the sentences has been valid or invalid. Here, I'm using CKY parsing to make sure with the grammar that they have mentioned. Normally, the CKY parsing is a parsing algorithm for the context-free grammar. It is used to check if a particular string can be derived from the language generated by a grammar or not. Here, we need to make sure the sentences are valid or invalid, whether the grammar is correct or wrong. So, normally the CKY parsing has been done only for the CNF grammar. It's a Chomsky normal form. As you all know, as the CNF has been derived with the few rules like A tends to BC, it's non-terminal tends to two non-terminals, and a single non-terminal tends to a non-terminal and with the null string as well. If the given grammar is not a CNF, we need to make sure converting the given grammar into CNF, and further we can apply the CKY parsing for the given grammars. Here I have listed out few valid sentence and the invalid sentences for the CKY parsing to make explain about each one of them. Here, both valid 16 sentences are listed out, both valid and invalid sentences. 12 are valid and the 4 are the invalid sentences. For example, we can make sure, are you interested into teaching database, or you can suggest textbooks to learn a particular language, or you can recommend online familiar courses for chosen language or the course. And the invalid sentences here, to creating a Python database, to teach, to delete the databases. These are the sentences which is not mentioned, grammar is not mentioned properly. So further they are stated as an invalid sentences. Initially, we need to make sure the sentences into CFG. So we need to separate each sentences into strings, and strings has been assigned to the variables has been listed out in this format. So these words has been comes under the det value determinants and the noun and the verb, pronoun and auxiliary form and the prepositions. Each has been separated and each strings has been considered under one of them. And further, the CFG context-free grammar has been converted to CNF. So after this only we are able to apply the CKY parsing for each of the sentences. After applying CNF, the sentences has been listed out in this format where S tends to the nouns and the nominals and the nouns. And here NP, make sure NP with the nouns and VP with the verbs and pronouns and auxiliary form and the prepositions has been listed out in an individual format. If we comes to the CKY tables, we can make sure with the words and the strings has been separated individually. If we can consider one of the example here, it is, are you interested to teach database? Each string has been separated individually and in a tabular format. Here the R has been assigned to the preposition. Here you can see it is assigned to the preposition, and U comes under the pronoun where pronoun will be NP and the S. Here the combination will be the S, pronoun and preposition combination will be the S. And further, interested will comes under noun, and noun and the pronoun will be the combination of VP and NP. And similarly, the two comes under the preposition. Here the preposition and the noun will be the VP and the A. NPVP will be the A, and further it is yes. So, in similarly, we need to make sure which each string has been derived individually in the last column of every word. It's like preposition, pronoun, noun, preposition, noun, and the noun. After all this tabular formula, we need to make sure the last column has been it's a valid or not by mentioning the yes in the last column or NPVP with the yes. So it concludes that this final statement, finally the string in the given grammar is a valid or invalid. Similarly, we need to make sure with the all statements. Here I have listed out around 12 statements for one of each of them. So here you can see, are you familiar with the Python language? And you can recommend me a book on Python. And what is the popular coding language? And let me consider an invalid statement as well. I created a Python database. I will be represented as an auxiliary form and created is a noun. And here the combination is an yes. And A comes under verb. There is no combinations on this. And the Python which comes under noun and the database which comes under noun. Here the combination of this is PP and the PP and VP is A and B and NP and VP. And A and B we can comes under A and B and B and A is finally it's a A. So it's not comes under the valid statement of yes. So finally we can state that the sentence which we have mentioned here it is an invalid sentence. Similarly we did for all the statements which comes under the invalid. So further we are moving to the source code. So this is the source code. So these are the import libraries we are used in this code. Here I am using Google Colab to execute the Python file that I have mentioned in this project. So and this is the grammar text file. In this text file, we could see all the CFGs that I have mentioned. The input file it will be in the CFG format. Further, it will convert the CFG into CNF. And further, we are applying the CKY here. Here the each sentence in this in this text file will be separated individually and for every sentence it will iterated multiple times and we can separate each sentences into CNF and further after this we are applying CKY from here onwards. Here we are applying CKY for individual sentences and individual words we are applying here and further we are stating that the statement is valid or not. If not, it will represented as the statement is not accepted and it is an invalid statement. Let us consider a few examples like do you interested in Java coding? Let me check this sentence. Yeah, it was an invalid sentence and the statement is accepted and it is invalid. Let me try again for one more statement. Can you suggest me some uh, familiar courses in Java? Yeah, you can see the sentence is an accepted and a valid one. And one more, what is class and object? Like the queries regarding the language and the courses. It is the certain sentence is accepted and the valid. And further, like, can you um, recommend me a textbook on Python? Eh, Textbook in Python. Yeah, this is a valid sentence. If you go, we can try few more. Like, what is the difference between mm, delete and truncate? So these are the few examples for the valid. When it comes to the invalid sentence, so What are the available courses in Python? So here you can see the sentence is it's not accepted and it is an invalid sentence. And you can try for one more like how to delete database. Okay. Yeah, it is an invalid sentence. Can you teach Python? Can on the one more sentence, like you can try. It's like an valid and an invalid one. In this format, we can make sure with all the sentences, which is a valid or an invalid sentences from this. Here I will show you a few executions from my source code. These are the listed executions of valid for all the statements that I have been mentioned here. And this is the invalid statements that I have mentioned, which can be the invalid sentences and which are not accepted from the given grammar. In this format, we can make sure whether the sentences will be valid from the given CFG or which can be further converted to CNF and further applying CKY parsing for all the grammar in the given sentences. Mm, that's it as of now. Thank you.